Ladies and gentlemen, in the 1920s, Grand Prix racing had its big inception, and with it came the most fearful driving experience a driver could face, the green hell. Grand Prix racing at the Nurburgring have always been connected to each other, but it's only fitting that we bring the glorious Lotus 49 back here, where Jim Clark performed a miracle in qualifying 1967, 9 seconds clear of P2. And that was still back on the Behemoth layout, the big over 20-kilometer long layout. But here we are back on the Grand Prix circuit, the modern one this time, for round 11 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Nicholas Hillebrand, and with me in the booth is Sebastian Holmichel. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Doug Ebert. Even if we aren't racing on the 20-kilometer long Behemoth, we are here for one hell of a race through the Eifel Mountains. Let's get a closer look at it to find out.
Welcome to the Nurburgring. Often overshadowed by its older, bigger brother, the Nordschleife, the Grand Prix course has actually accrued quite a bit of history itself. This modern circuit was built in the early 80s as a replacement for the lesser-known Southern Loop. And while it was updated and extended in 2002, it stayed roughly 3 miles in length throughout its history. However, the addition of the Mercedes Arena brought about a total of 6 different layouts to choose from, with the longest including 16 turns. Though not as fearsome as the Ring, it's technically challenging and carries its own fair share of elevation change. Plus, the types of corners come in a wide variety, ranging from the heavy braking into the sharp hairpin of the first turn, to the swift Schumacher S, which is still not quite flat out in a lot of modern cars. Passing can sometimes come at a premium, and drivers are often forced to get creative if they find themselves stuck behind a competitor. But the difficulty that elicits mistakes means that patience can pay off for those who stay diligent. While Formula One raced here on and off for a few decades, it now mainly hosts GT and touring car racing, along with some lower-tier open-wheel series. In the end, race fans certainly shouldn't overlook the importance of this German circuit. While it may not carry the fame of its counterpart, it holds up well and helps keep this worldwide phenomenon relevant to modern racing.
Righto, then let's have a quick look at the track info with Seb.
Yeah, all right. 3.199 miles or 5.148 kilometers here tonight. From the Turn 1, where's the huge overtaking opportunity, through the AMG Arena, then down to the Ford-Kurve, and of course the Goodyear Carrier. Iconic, truly iconic stuff here tonight with these cars on this track. Through the Michael Schumacher S, there's always a good setup for turn 11 and 12 for an overtake, and of course in the NGK chicane turn 14 and 15. It's difficult to overtake. We will see what the drivers can do against each other. We have a huge grid, and I'm really happy to be here with you guys tonight.
Will for certain be an absolutely huge event this evening. I think next up we'll look at the standings so far. Here we are, of course, with Formula One. The standings, of course, for drivers over 3,000 iRating. Of course, Audrius Valantigios was still leading away with 465 points. Right behind him is Mick Claridge. After that, Jorge Nieva. After that comes Togo Hisada from Japan. Leo Sequeiro in 5th place. Then Kevin Verbruggen in 6th. Nicola Cocci in 7th. Seb Tixier in 8th. Jason Clapper in 9th. And Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado in 10th place. Next up, we have F2 with Seb.
Yeah, in the F2 standings, there's also huge competition. Just 13 points between Jem Madsen in P1 and Tobias Hernvi in P2. And also, Jonathan Jordan is closing in with just 16 points down. Then Thomas Willershausen, 55 points back in P4th. Ben Summers in P5. Mats Linden in P6. P7, Alan Graham. P8, Mitch Haller. Andres Bruno in P9 and Thomas Tuber in P10.
Next, following up, we've got the Nations Cup, of course. United Kingdom, like back in the 60s. Very strong here. Followed by Spain, only 9 points behind. Then in 3rd, Lithuania, only 15 points behind. Then follows the United States and Japan, also just 8 points apart from each other. Singapore, Italy, and the Netherlands follow up next. Another big pack. And then in 9th and 10th, we have Finland joint in points.
And of course, the race details. We are closing or nearly closing the season, round 11 of 12, 17 laps tonight. It's open setups, of course, and no spare car. Just one chance to claim victory. Drive through at 17 incident points and disqualification at 25 incident points.
Of course, some of the stories of our race as we're here in the closing stages. I mean, as always, we're here with the absolutely iconic Lotus 49. Well, the first car that pretty much ushered in an era for Formula One history with the extremely dominant Ford-Cosworth DFV V8 engine. And, it was one of those, how would you say, these trendsetters, really. Because the car itself raced in different iterations for multiple years as well.
And yeah, that is just the sound we need here tonight. And yeah, you said it, iconic cars on an iconic track. And of course, that would be a combination. I would love to be in the grandstands and watch them fly by in real life, of course. And so it's good we have the chance and the opportunity in sim racing.
Absolutely. I mean, nowadays you can even still see something like this in real life every year with the historic Grand Prix at the Nurburgring. But, of course, you're always a little bit more inclined to hold back a little bit. Here's Togo Hisada with a wonderful Honda livery here, basically as a stand-in for the Honda RE300 that raced in that year as well with, is it with his name? Yes, it is with John Surtees' name, of course. And, yeah, it's just an absolutely fantastic sight here. These guys currently lapping with around 156s, 156.730 from Kundelis at the moment, the fastest lap time. And I think that should be for F2 right now, I think.
So in the end, of course, F2 driver can win the overall race. That's of course for sure. But in the end, everyone is watching for their own competition. And as we have seen in the standings, it's quite a close fight for the championship this season.
Absolutely, and it's really unimportant, in the end with F1 and F2. As we said, the only real difference is the iRating between the drivers. Like, they're all in the same car, they all have pretty much these 4 to 410 horsepower that the first iteration of the DFV put out, and the car has a curb weight of pretty much only 540 kilos around that area, which is honestly just unbelievable. With that sort of power and that sort of weight, you can see how these guys have to be so careful. Of course, they also don't have slick tires. They have these old bias plies, hard as a board in comparison, and of course not a complete smooth surface. You can see those grooves there, basically.
Yeah, right. It is a modern GP track, but of course it's the Eiffel's own charm here with the cars, with the track for these cars. We have seen the suspension here now taking action in the braking zone, and of course, as you said it, with the grooves on the track.
Also, one of these really interesting things, with these cars, before downforce really became a thing, the first small little winglets basically started coming in 1967, in late 1967, from Cooper and Brabham. But, with this, it's just the pure load change here. You can see the front shooting up as soon as the rear gets loaded up, then the front ducking down as soon as you go on the brakes. The front tires getting loaded up as Valenticius gets around the final corner here, and 155.875 gets another brilliant lap in there. Absolutely fantastic running from him. Puts him half a second clear of P2.
And Tixi is half a second behind. So that's a demonstration with that pole position lap at this stage of qualifying, but just 20 seconds left.
Yeah, it's make or break now. It's do or die time. And, once again, this is not an easy circuit. Last week we were at Montreal, basically a concrete jungle compared to this, with only one braking zone that didn't lead into a chicane, the hairpin. But instead of that, we have a couple of hard braking zones here that don't instantly lead into chicanes. This time we have 55 meters of altitude change, or, well, in the words of American units, 180 feet. So that is, you know, still incredible just height differences that the drivers go through over the course of this lap. Now we have our grid row here. Odorous Valentijas in P1, followed by Seb Tixier. Then in row 2, Arturas Condelis, followed by Kevin Verbruggen. Then Mick Claridge and Bill Tyler in row 3. Row 4, Nicola Cocci and Steve Morris in row 4. Then we have Leo Sequeiro and Gary Ho in row 5, rounding up the top 10. Then in row 6 we have John Olsen and Togo Hisada, followed by Ricardo Esponella Martinez and Laust Olsen. Raul Roches Gardia and Jem Matzan in 15 and 16 in row 8. Then we have Matthew Maudsley in row 9 with Akuliski, Xavier Sanchez and Over Trengerid in row 10. And then next up in row 11 to 15 we have Alan Graham, Mitch Heller, Matthew Arkeen, Ricardo Ruiz, Ray Oliver, Jack Wells, Robert Plumley, Jan Stefan, Jonathan Jordan, and Riley Matheson. Next up then in row 16, 17, and 18 we have Cam Porter and Mauro Micheletti, Thomas Tuba, Matt White. Then we have Ryan Mayer, and then we have Timothy S. Porter. Then next up in 19 we have Mats Linen and Jason Clapper, and row 20. Both of them also not setting a time like Jason Clapper, Juan E. Rodriguez and Gerard Boldu. Then in the end, last but not least, we have Fernando de la Fuente and Donald Peake in 41st and 42nd in the 21st row. A huge turnout here today, don't we?
Yeah, I thought it was slightly over 30, but we are with 42 cars here. And look at that view on the main straight. The cars are ready for the race. Absolutely
magnificent view here, as they're all waiting for the grid. You know, a lot more iconic noise, I think, than the vacuum cleaners, as we have it go now. And everyone gets a good start so far, I think. A lot of people darting from side to side, heading now into the first corner. Hans-Joachim Stück called this the most exciting corner in World Motorsports, and so far no contact. Everyone gets through cleanly, as everyone gets so close together. But everyone's now going through the AMG arena. That's Valentijas trying to get away from the rest. We have 2 wide, 3 wide into turns 3 and 4. That is it with Stay Morris there, just coming out of the arena now, as everyone's sort of starting to settle into a single grid row now. But a couple of guys are still side by side as they're heading down to the fault curve.
Or through the gravel. Yeah, right, through the gravel. I mean, there was a slight contact in turn 1, but it's always great to see all the cars going through the AMG arena without much hassle. If somebody spins there, it can easily take out 5 to 10 cars.
And speaking of easily taking out 5 to 10 cars, that's another one going a bit wide in the Matra liveried car. That was, I think, Mauro Micheletti. And, there's the front missing of Matt White. So that's not the kind of start that he had hoped for.
That's not very aerodynamic.
Luckily no downforce loss, but that's definitely some extra drag that's added there. McCludge in 4th place. It looks quite a bit like a Ferrari, doesn't it?
Big overtaking opportunity here, of course, and to stick with the leaders.
Going big on the curb, can't quite get the job done. And it's now under attack from Kevin Verbruggen right behind him, who pulls back a little bit again.
Yeah, that creates a gap for the first 2 running. Valentijas and Tixier running away.
Valentijas is just trying to get away as quickly as possible. And Kundelis as well, trying not to get caught up in that battle there right behind him. It's getting very tight here now. Everyone here, of course, there's no dirty air, so these guys are all just reliant on mechanical grip. So a very close fight here. We have Riley Matheson here also defending very hard against the person attacking him from the outside now. And you can just see these tires, they don't really give too much mechanical grip. You can see the Matheson sliding for his life there, trying to not fall behind. And, oh my goodness, everyone's still all over the place here.
And in this stage in the midfield, 1 place loss is maybe even 3 place loss when you're off the line and everybody attacks you.
Absolutely. Here we have Jack Wells in the Matra tribute livery pretty much. Just trying to make it back up the order after having that off in the Goodyear Kehre earlier. And there we have another off in the Goodyear Kehre going a bit too deep. That seems to be, yeah, Ricardo Espinosa Martinez in the yellow number 22 from Iberia, sliding a bit too deep. And even though the corner is a little bit on camber, you know, you're still breaking down from a very, very high speed. And here in these cars, it's incredibly easy to just lock up and go wide immediately. Of course, also an H-pattern gearbox here. No fancy sequential shifter pedals. You actually have to clutch in here or make these concessions with iRacing shifting system that, of course, tries to keep it equal with people that don't have a shifter.
Oh, very close here again, but no crash as far as I've seen. That's magnificent driving, and you talked about a shifter, and that's also the thing. They're real enthusiasts here driving the 49ers.
Absolutely. Right now we have a look on Leo Sequeiro, also from Iberia, in the number 8, another Honda livery, but this one's actually from the predecessor. So we saw earlier that Hisada is running in the number 2, which basically simulates the RA300. Honda's, second 3-liter Formula 1 car. And this is more the RA273, so the predecessor, which was massively overweight. Of course, here we have a Lotus 49 in the guys. So around 300 kilos lighter, or 200 kilos lighter than the RA273 was. And here we have a replay of Martinez. Ooh, yeah, just going a little bit too hard. And ooh, look at that. Rear steps out a little bit too quickly, a bit too much momentum into the corner, but gets it stopped relatively well and doesn't lose out too much time, so quite a good catch from him as well.
And a great rejoin, I must say.
Indeed. Kevin Verbruggen, number 4 from Benelux. Heavy on the assault still, trying to get past Claridge and Kundelis. Obviously of the opinion, hey guys, let me through, I can start chasing Tixia and then maybe the Lantijas as well. But following closely, you know, going fast by yourself and going fast and passing the guys ahead, that's 2 whole different things. As we can see also, Togo Hisada looking to make a move but can't quite get alongside enough yet. Sitting right behind Tyler with the number 13.
And that's always the thing with the Nurburgring GP track. Everyone knows it so well, because it's so iconic, that it's so hard to overtake, because everyone is basically on the same level.
And not just that, like, the circuit is such a mix between layouts. And oh, we have... Yeah, I think that's... Claridge had made a bit of a mistake there. Fell back a tiny bit. No, actually, sorry, that is Kundelis that made a mistake. So that is 1 second of a gap that was lost there. Here we have Seb Tixier also from Asia with that glorious full motion VR rig, actually living that race right now. All over the back of Kundelis, who has made some mistake into turn 1 and lost the entire gap that he had built up over Tixier, Claridge and Verbruggen. So now the fight is on, not just for P3, but for P2, as long as the other 3 just don't slow each other down too much.
And that's, of course, always the thing, the slowing down part, and people running away. Yeah, as you said, there was maybe a little mistake in T1, which created a bigger gap, but of course, now the hunt is on again for the podium spots.
Absolutely, they have to really be careful here. It's, even with, you know, relatively simple corners like this, you know, with them going on camber, like as we can see here through the left-hander, before we go into what's colloquially called the beer curve, because multiple beer brands had the sponsoring rights for this corner here, the right-hander down the hill. It's such a dynamic surface with on-camber, off-camber. You're sliding all over the place, as we have Matthew Arkeen with the number 21 defending his position from the number 15 right behind him. As Valentijus does another fastest lap. That man is on an unstoppable mission today. And, well, as expected of our championship leader, of course.
Yeah, right, and nearly, scratching on the 55, so there's a big spin by over Trangerate, but yeah, he moves out of the way quite impressively.
Yeah, very good situational awareness there, and, well, also very good reaction in general, because you really have to watch out at that part. You're coming with so much speed after such a long time, and that's another one. Alan Graham barely avoiding the spun car there in front of him. It's also another tricky part because you have this long, big, heavy braking zone into turn 1 and then this huge drop basically over the crest almost. So that's another part that can be very, very, bad for both your health and your car's health.
Yeah, of course. If you want to cut it too hard, it's really a drop. So, yeah, you have to be careful. We talked about the mechanical grip of the cars, and if it's gone, it's gone. It's loose.
One thing that I also absolutely love about this so far, of course, you can say that, I have to stop saying of course. Mr. Costello has just mentioned that to us already, that it's the word of the day. But we, of course, have only one car here, the Lotus 49, with the DFV engine. But the liveries here are an absolute spectacle. We have these different tribute liveries of Ferrari, of Honda, of Lotus as well, and very nice, pretty much Ukrainian flag-looking colors. And actually, further back in the field, silver livery. You're thinking probably, well, that's just silver, but that does quite look like Porsche, which were also in F1 in the early 60s. And Verbruggen now trying the over and under, can't get quite enough power put down after the crest there. But that fight does not look over yet. Still looking all over the back, looking basically right down the gearbox of... actually, Verbruggen, that's actually quite a few places that he dropped down. That's Hisada. I thought for a moment that was a familiar-looking Honda, but some mistake must have happened to Verbruggen there as we looked further down the order.
Yeah, but it isn't over. We have just 1/3 of the race done, so there's much opportunity to get back on track, but of course maybe not a fight for the podium. No, that's Ricardo Esponella Martinez.
Ooh.
Ah.
Oh, and almost got past everything and actually flipping here. Luckily only the simulator, because this is still the historic low roll cage, basically, that Lotus had there. Of course, they tried to keep all the way to the minimum, but luckily he is fine.
Why they even have a roll cage then? But...
yeah, that is the big question here. The roll cage is there to protect the driver. The roll cage is also lower than the driver's head.
Yeah, to protect the car, because drivers... next one, please.
Oh, wonderful. But, yeah, unfortunate here. Just a little spin, wrong place, wrong time for him and multiple other cars involved. As we look up to the top 10 again, stay Maurice there in the 19, getting attacked by the number 20 and the number 14. And actually getting touched there. And that's hitting the 14 into the side of the tire as well. That's a very, very unfortunate plot twist there. And that's also the front end just completely gone there. Reduced to atoms, and I think Maurice might be parking that, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, straight down the bowling alley in T1.
Brixier once again under attack. And Kundelis actually fell back behind both Claridge and Trixie there. Trixie, the Ferrari, well, no, not quite the Ferrari. That's Claridge ahead of him. But, Claridge ahead and Kundelis with the number 6 here. Was second at some place before in this race, but couldn't withstand the pressure of Claridge and Trixie behind him. Kochi right behind them as well, with the, well, sort of Martini stripe livery. A couple years early, technically, for that, because Martini didn't quite enter as quickly, but nevertheless, you know, still a very nice livery to see on these cars. And you can see this slight darting from side to side there. You know, you even when you're already just accelerating there, these cars are basically getting thrown around by every tiniest bump as they tackle those curbs there. And the tires just rising up, going down. That's a lot of suspension travel you have on these things.
Yeah, as we have seen, and I'm still curious if Tixier can take back P2. Both are looking a little bit faster than Kundelis at the moment, but I think, as you said, the mixture of this track benefits one driving style in one part and one driving style in another, so maybe there will be another overtaking opportunity also from the back, and who knows what happens in the end if there is contact.
Indeed, and one of the big things here, of course, Valentijas is, of course, our championship leader, Claridge in second place, but one of the big things here is we have drop scores and they all haven't been applied yet. One of the drop scores for Valentijas is at Indianapolis at 0 points, so that is less points that he can lose off his overall score. So Mick Claridge is actually still in the fight here as we look at Cam Porter from Virginia's region, the number 29, making his way out of the AMG arena, followed by car number 12, and there was something happening there, so I'm thinking maybe once again some trouble in turn 1. And yeah, that seems like a very big outbraking moment, and just barely touching the number 41, reverses, whips it around, and I think Porter may have been waiting. No?
Yeah.
Was waiting a little bit, I think, because he stalled the engine and then got it started again. So, number 41 will not be too happy about that, though.
I'm not even sure the 41 didn't spin by himself there, but yeah.
It looked a bit like
doesn't matter in the end.
Yeah. And, well, Valentijas, we just addressed him for a moment there. Now 7.3 seconds ahead. Once again, the fastest lap. Just absolutely ludicrous. He's in Spaceballs right now, switching to ludicrous speed. Just a fantastic drive from him there. Of course, these guys in the back, further behind him, still doing a fantastic work here as well. We have pretty much everyone from second to sixth place, everyone within 1 second intervals. So that's still a fight to be fought there. And all through the grid here with Mitch Heller as well in the number 32. We have another fight here on track, which still delivers for some good action here right now. We have Kundelis here as well, of course, still trying to fight back to second place. And I'm realizing more and more how often we say, of course, in this situation. God darn. Daniel Costello really cursed us here with making that comment of the word of the day.
It is really amazing how this 7-second gap is coming together for Valentijas. Of course, I did it again. The thing is, they are always also trying to look into their mirrors if a surprise attack hits. Maybe that is also a thing which slows them down, because from the competitiveness, they're up there to take a win. In the end, of course, he's just the fastest. Yeah, now I'm going into it. I'm leaning totally into it, apparently. Yeah, he's just in a class of his own, you said it. Ludicrous speed by Valenticius.
As you said, though, when you have to worry about getting attacked constantly from behind, because these guys, of course, damn it, they aren't slowing down. Naturally, there we are. That's a new word.
Indeed.
maybe Sean can do an off-course counter for the entire race. Naturally, Condelis, for example, is in the middle of a fight, so he has to try attack while also looking into those tiny wing mirrors that the Lotus 49 has. Maybe he's lucky and has the virtual mirror on, but if you're going for full immersion, you're just going for these minuscule mirrors that you have. Undoubtedly a big challenge for these drivers. And we see a little bit more gravel being thrown up there. I think that might have been from the number 13 ahead there. From Tyler or Olsen. As we see Raul Rosesgadia, the number 11, making moves, getting close to Olsen up ahead. That's just absolutely glorious sounds there. This engine producing, well, in this first iteration... Oh, that's a netcode contact! And that's Claridge getting thrown away. Championship hopes getting dashed and tossed aside in Bear Curve. That is heartbreaking. I hope we can see a replay of that. Oh,
down to P7 now. There, that is destroying his chances, of course. And he was, running so good in P2.
That's 11 points less than he would be getting with P2. And here we have the replay. Going through the left-hander side by side.
The cambering, yeah.
Oh, it's not a great angle here, but I think that, that is slight contact. I think that's the different party. That's a difficult situation because Cloud is slightly already leaning towards the racing line, the rubbered in line. And the number 10 is coming slightly over to try and take more of a run into the next coming corner, which is the natural thing to do. You want to carry as smooth a line as possible.
Certainly no intentional thing there, but you talked about the cambering there in the beer curve, or it is, you want to position your car, and that is what can happen if two cars are side by side together. And a little bit of netcode, maybe.
Indeed, and that's just one of those things in iRacing. You know, netcode giveth and it taketh away, as we have 7 laps to go. Over the 50% mark of the race already. Out of 17 laps, only 7 left. Time just flew by with all of this action happening. And these DFVs keep revving to 9,000 RPM where they produce their peak power. Keep going and going and going, and these guys are using every single revolution per minute of the engine that they can get to put as much power on the track as possible, and maybe using a bit too much power there. Tessier now touching the gravel on the outside, trying to get away from Kundelis. Kundelis, of course, hard on the attack to get back his P2 from earlier. And now both the Hondas have joined the fray as well. Sekiro and Tisada right behind the Martini car of Kochi. And I think if these guys get closer, it'll definitely be one absolute heck of a spat here in the closing laps.
Yes, right. And Hisada knows how victory tastes. So even if he is now in P6, he will try everything to get on the podium.
Always trying these altering lines. And Kundelis again for the over and under. Rosesgadia getting through against Olsen in the number 20 and making it stick. So enough pressure was applied. Olsen finally cracked and the number 11 goes through. Well done there from Iberia. Jack Welch working his way back up in the wonderful Matra. He's been sawing away at those positions for, well, the entire race since lap 1, going a bit deep at the Goodyear Kehre. went down to 30 seconds, now up to 20 seconds. So that's 10 places gained after big losses. So a really, really good run here from him.
Also speaks volumes that people trying to still hang on, get back on track, and yeah, have fun clinching positions.
Yeah, I think we hear nowadays quite often from drivers, like at the end of last season, we heard from Lewis Hamilton quite a bit. Yeah, guys, the race is over anyway, let's just park it. Well, not for Jack Wells. Jack Wells drops down pretty much over half the grid and then still keeps fighting like a tiger. Now we have Togo Hisada attacking, well, his indirect teammate when we go after liveries. Trying to overtake the fellow Honda driver. Keeping Japan proud there. And Tejas still with fastest laps, 55.918. Again with another faster lap. Absolutely incredible scenes here.
He's checking for his braking line. Maybe he is already, trying to get him on the line he wants him to be to make the overtake happen.
Oh, and this is a quite fun spat to look at over the shoulder. This is a quite nostalgic camera, isn't it? Without any halo in the way or anything. Brings me back to 1980s, 1970s footage. There's been an emergence of that on YouTube recently as well. You can actually see from 1973 some onboard footage on an Embassy Hill. So quite good fun stuff nowadays here in case of historic racing media. But even more fun stuff here, because this is still a fight until the end. You can see these guys constantly altering lines, going a bit deeper, trying to take a more straight line out of the corner, getting more traction and getting more straight acceleration to get past into the next corner. And here Michael Schumacher is once again one of those spaces where you can set up a pass. And here we have Togo Hisada trying to make use of that on the outside into the left-hander. And both Hondas sliding a lot. Now Hisada on the outside again around Bierkurve and gets it done. Fantastic move there in the number 2. And now up to 5th place. Well done, Togo Hisada.
That's what I meant with taking him on the line he wants him to be, and it worked out. And finally in the Bierkurve without any spinning or damaging the car. And yeah, great overtake by Hisada.
Absolute scenes here with the over and under and over and under. Just has to be careful now that he doesn't lose touch to the group of 3 ahead, but these guys seem to still be in a fighty mood. So one scuffle too much and these guys will also drop down, well, the timing sheets a bit. And, well, right now, without a doubt, Hisada, he's licked blood. I think he's still eager to attack, and even more fighting to be seen here. It's number 20, Laust Olsen, still here with number 7, with Sanchez ahead of him now. Verbruggen dropped down again, I just noticed, but still trying to fight back, still trying to get further back up the order. So just a bit unfortunate for Kevin Verbruggen in this situation, but good to see also him still fighting on. Here we have Raul Roses Guardia in the number 11. He just way past the 20 earlier, and there must have been a mistake here. Into NGK and actually spins it, and number 20 hits him as well. Gets hit again by a car trying to evade him there, and that car looks like it's crabbing. That is not good. Yeah, that is definitely suspension damage, so really unlucky there. I think that's also a car parked now, and just 4 laps to go. That is heartbreak.
Yeah, that's what you said. 4 laps to go, maybe pushing in some corner a little bit too much in the fight, but in the end, of course, it's part of the racing that we all love.
Indeed, and yeah, just one of those really difficult situations as well. Speaking of difficult situations, I know who's not having one right now. Valentijas once again with the fastest lap, now 13 seconds clear of everyone. While Hisada now caught back up into the 1 second realm of the rest of the top 4, second to 4th place, and Tisada closing in on the brakes. I have to admit, I have a slight affinity bias towards the Honda, since I used to drive for Honda for their esports team for a while. And I'm a big fan of the RA300 because of glorious V12 sound. And just a pretty nice car, and John Surtees is, one of these all-time greats in racing history, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. But, nevertheless, always great to see these cars racing on the circuit like they are pushing like nothing else. Nicola Cocci has been taking a more conservative approach. We haven't seen too many, hot-headed actions from him through the race. Valentijas with the Ukrainian flag Lotus, keeping clear, making his countrymen proud. Flying away, 13.5 seconds clear now with 3 laps to go. Under no pressure at all. He came, he saw, he conquered. Absolutely fantastic drive from him so far. While behind him is a fight for everyone's life, basically.
Yes, he could drive in the F0 when we have the F1 and F2 class here. So he's really in a class of his own.
Zero, bringing me back to Captain Falcon with the old arcade racing game.
I knew you would know.
That would be great to see. I'm going to be honest. That would be awesome to see.
Yeah, awesome, this fight still going on over laps and laps and laps, and maybe the climax is right down the road. But here, maybe no overtake. Yeah, can't happen. Gaps too far, and maybe too much risk on the brakes there, of course.
And Cocci also with a slight slide in the final corner with now 2 laps to go. So Hisada, might have been taking it a little bit more conservative at the beginning, and now, well, in the last couple laps, Sada still with the tires in tip-top shape, with, well, all the fuel that he'd want to push the car even further. Very, very hard on the attack, and looking to, well, maybe make it up to the podium if he's lucky. And if he can place his car well, but car placement is one thing that this man has shown in this race so far.
Yes, and we can also see from his perspective some struggling mid-corner by Cocci, and also Tixier is not always on the best possible line, but who can with these cars? Now empty fuel tank and well-rubbered tires.
As you said, these cars are squirrely. They are, well, they barely want to go straight in any situation whatsoever. You can see the slight tendency to a power slide out of basically every corner. But obviously, it's not the fastest way. The fastest way is to be, not lose any traction at all, to use every bit of traction that you can get out of these tires. And that's what Togisada is building on. There's one car letting them go, not wanting to get into that group fight. And Hisada is still all over the back of the number 5 of Cocci. Let's see. Can we see another move into turn 5?
Final lap. Here we go.
Last lap into turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one of the peak overtaking spots. Turn 1, hard on the brakes. Down the inside. Can he get the traction down, though? Dropping down. And can't quite get ahead yet. But now coming with the over and under in the middle of the AMG arena. Looking towards the inside. Isn't able to get into a braking spot to get on the inside for the next corner, though. Now heading out of the arena. The turns are running out now. Only 11 turns left to go. Now with this little kink on, it's 10. And Hisada is now on his final charge.
We tried in T1, maybe there is another one up the Michael Schumacher S, and maybe he copies his overtake from before while Valentijas is on his final meters.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's 1 kilometer.
About 1 kilometer at this point, I think. It's fairly straightforward in the, well, figurative and literal sense here. It's one slightly bendy straight to go, with 1 chicane and 1 corner. And now into the second to last braking zone. Valentijas hard on the brakes. No pressure at all. 15 seconds almost clear from P2, from Condilis. There's Valentijas, Central Eastern Europe cheers as the number 1 passes in first place. The championship leader heads over the start-finish line to win the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends race here at the Nurburgring. Congratulations.
Congrats, Slavaro Caini, of course, and Arturas Kondelis in P2 takes it with a long, hard fight with his competitors.
Gocci barely defends 4th place from Isara. Tixi gets in 3rd. Here we have then Sequeiro in 6th, then Claridge here, bringing the Ferrari home in 7th, and Tyler and Sanchez in 8th and 9th. Here we have Laust Olsen defending to the line now, or attacking to the line more like, right behind Sanchez. And we have, someone
draft
with some
battle.
damage.
And there was maybe a draft battle in the back for position, but it stayed that way. It's close, but positions maintained with Clapper with 0.004 of a second.
Oh, and here we have down to the line, Jack Welch getting 21st, I think. Just
No,
barely.
it's overed it.
Oh, so I think there was penalties then, maybe.
Penalties, of course.
That could have been. So,
What a drama.
let's have our race results. We have Audrius Valentijas, of course, our winner here, followed by Arturas Kondelis. A bit very nervous in the middle of the race, dropping down a little bit, but able to recover the position. Followed by Seb Tissier, then Nicola Cocci, then Togo Hisada, the charging Honda driver, Leo Sequeiro, his indirect teammate, making place for him in the end. Then Mike Claridge, an unlucky Ferrari in a Lotus 49. Then followed by Bill Tyler, Xavier Sanchez, Laust Olsen in 10th place. Then in 11th place, we have Akuliski, then John Olsen, Kevin Verbruggen, very unlucky as well. Couple of mistakes costing him dearly. And then Jem Matson in 14th, Matthew Maudsley, Jason Clapper, Matthew Arkeen, Gary Ho, Mitch Heller, and Jack Welch making it to P20 after that first lap escapade. In 21st, we have Ove Trengereit, Robert Plumley, Jonathan Jordan, Juan A. Rodriguez, Alan Graham, Cam Porter, Ray Oliver, Gerard Boldu, Mats Linden, and Mauro Micheletti in 30th. And from 31st on, we have Ryan Mayer, Matt White, Jan Stefan, Donald Peake, and then Timothy S. Porter, the first one to be a lap down, then Riley Matheson. Then we have Raul Roses Guardia, 3 laps down, Ricardo Ruiz, 5 laps down, same with Thomas Tuba. And then Stay Morris, of course, after that collision, unfortunately 11 laps down and as a DNF, and followed by Ricardo Espadella Martinez and Fernando de la Fuente. Iberia not having a great day in the Nations Cup today, unfortunately. Next up, we have some interviews here. We have, some of our top runners here. Here we have Arturas Kondelis. Arturas, can you hear us? Hello? Arturas? I think some slight sound issues right now. So we'll give him a moment to sort that out. Very active fighter in the top 4 fight. But he made it back to P2. And let's hope that we can talk to him. Quickly deaf muted, so maybe sorting out some sound issues. Not able to sort it out so far, I think. So our broadcast director is going to have a quick look into that. I see the unmute, so maybe it's fixed now. There we are. Arturas, can you hear us now?
Yeah, guys, hello. Sorry, I was muted. Didn't realize that in the VR.
Excellent. Well, no problem at all. Of course, always tricky in the VR. Well done on second place. Tell us a little bit about your race from your perspective.
Oh boy, that was exhausting. And firstly, I'm really proud to get the P2 behind Audris, because getting that counts as a win in my book any day. He's a world-class driver, and to be ahead of everyone except for him, that's good enough for me in the series, especially since I'm quite new here. But the race was quite intense, and the battle with Seb, it didn't go too nicely in the chicane, but yeah, all went together in the end. So really pleased with that. That's my best result in this series so far.
Definitely something to be proud of. We saw how difficult these cars can be, of course. And, old tires, no downforce, and, quite a lot of power to weight ratio. What would you say is the biggest challenge of these races for the driver?
That's the golden formula in my belief. A lot of power, no weight, and no grip. I think modern motorsport could benefit from that a lot these days. I think that provokes a lot of mistakes from the drivers, that provokes genuine action in racing. And in the end, as a spectator, I think that's what you're after, and the driver as well. So that's why I'm enjoying it so much.
You could absolutely see the enjoyment on the circuits. In the middle of a big group fight throughout the race, and then finally making it back up to second place. So was there a little bit of nervosity that maybe there when you dropped down first?
Yeah, I genuinely was scared to death the entire distance, really. There's like you have this, I don't know, confidence in your hands when you're practicing, and today was just as if I had less energy in my hands or something. I was kind of worried to trail brake aggressively. The things that you do when you're truly confident in the car, knowing all these guys behind me, and one mistake can cost everything, really. it was tricky to manage, but yeah, it's important to keep your head cool in this car. Just don't overheat it and yourself as well.
Well, nevertheless, you managed it very well. Your last best possession was 6th place. Now it's 2nd. It's only a matter of time before the win, right? But yeah, fantastic job, Arturos. Thank you very much for showing us a great race today, and thank you very much for the interview.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Now let's see who's the next one that we can get here. So next up we have Sebastian Texier. Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
So, a very, very interesting race today here. Well, one of the very interesting liveries as well. Not quite the historic focus, but I do dig the chrome, basically, the reflective metal. How would you say your race went overall?
First of all, apologies to Arturos. I was not trying to pass as a chicane, it's just that with a slipstream, I got sucked and I overheated my front tires, and the best way to avoid a crash was to go beside him and just hope that everything was going well. And yeah, after that with Mick, we had a little battle, and I think I did not watch the replay yet, but I think he turned a bit earlier on me and was there, and yeah. But for me, I'm quite disappointed because I was second and with some gap, and I made the mistake of the slowdown. If I did not have this slowdown, I could have run away, I think. But when I made the mistake, then I was in the pack, and the slipstream was too great to get away.
Yeah, really unlucky, of course. And, well, you didn't just drive, you lived that race. You can see that absolutely phenomenal setup there with even the appropriate steering wheel as well. How would you say, how much difference is it as to when you're driving either in triple screen or single screen compared to VR with that entire, well, rig lineup that you have there?
I have to remember, well, last time I played on screen, but basically on screen you looking at a car on the TV, and on VR you are in the car, in the world. So, and especially with the motion, it's really really immersive. And I think in VR you are more consistent because it's easier to get awareness of the distance and speed more than in monitor, even triple screen, because it's not 3D. In 3D it's easy to just turn the head and everything is like you are in the car, so it's easier to drive in the pack. Yeah, so I'm using VR since 2018 and I never went back because every time I try to play on monitor on game that doesn't have VR, I just can't.
I mean, with that level of immersion, who would want to get back, especially in, well, basically these little cigarettes on wheels.
Yes.
Absolutely phenomenal drive from you today, and of course your second podium this season as well. What are you hoping for Lime Rock Park?
Lime Rock Park, I don't know what version it is. If it's the version with the chicane, then I think I will just not drive because...
It's without.
Okay, so with the jump, so this one is fun. But it's a free track, so there will be a lot of people. And so there will be back marker to pass every laps. So it's going to be a bit the Russian roulette to finish properly, because some back markers, I don't say they do things on purpose, but they are afraid or pressurized, seeing the leader in their mirror, and they make mistakes, or they try to do good by slowing down on the racing line and make things worse sometimes. So let's hope it's going to go well next week with the back markers.
Yeah, good intentions, bad execution, but that next week is for next week. This week was this week, and this week was a podium. Congratulations once again, Seb. Well done.
Thank you.
And thank you for giving us a great race to see. And let's see who we can get up next here. We also have Nicola Cocci and Mick Claridge still sitting there. And next up we have Nicola Cocci. Are you here? Can you hear us?
Yes, we can. I can hear you guys.
Excellent. Nicola, great race today. The Martini livery, that's a few years too early technically, but nevertheless looking absolutely spectacular on the Lotus 49. How would you say your race went?
Well, I'm happy about the race, of course, but I completely missed my both 2 laps of quali. I could not stop the car basically. I overshoot both time T1, so I just lost at least half a second there. So I was a little bit on the mentality to a recovery race because I was quite far behind. But I saw the other guys as fast as me actually had same issue. I was thinking about Tog, of course, and so I was.
Nicola? I think we just lost his sound for a little bit. That is unlucky. That is incredibly unlucky.
Better have a disconnect now than in the race.
I mean, that's absolutely true. But, Nicola, are you there? Yeah, okay. I suppose we have to call the interview here then. Nevertheless, 4th place, Nicola Cocci. Well done, Italy. And, unfortunately a disconnect in the interview. As Seb said, better than in the race. But, of course we have upcoming races next up. We have, the IMSA Vintage, of course, coming up next today. We have Lime Rock Park, the final round of the season here, without any chicanes, in its full glory, next week. So, same time, just be there or be square. and you'd better not be square. And of course, next up right now, we have the IMSA Vintage Series at Oschersleben. So, well, American Racing Series at a German race circuit. What could go wrong? It's going to be at noon Eastern Time. So, besides that, of course, that's it for us for today. We hope that you tune in again next week. Thanks to the team today. Thanks to Sebastian for joining me here in the commentary, to Daniel for the directions, of course, and for Dougie for the great cameras that we were able to make use of today. Make sure to check out our social media, website and merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Make sure to check the other broadcasts, of course, as well. We have IMSA Vintage up next, as we already mentioned. And of course, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.